right. Good evening, everybody who decided to watch me at this late fucking hour. It's 12:07 where I'm at. Who cares what time it is where you're at because it's fucking late no matter what. So
No
late,
matter
it's
what.
almost fucking early. With that being said, tonight we're going to be talking maybe about for 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes about gaming. And I don't get to hang out with this guy as much as I'd like to. So we're going to do it right now. So sit down, make some popcorn, pop it, Xanax, do whatever you need to do because we're going to be talking about gaming for the next however long. All right. Now that I no longer sound like a game host.
You sound like Matt Gates.
No, fuck off. Jesus. You
I'm
know,
fucking with you.
oh.
Good. Grab the vodka. It's going to be a long night.
Oh my God. It's not that I'm Democrat because I hate those fuckers too. It's just some of these Republicans make it so fucking easy to fucking just want to punch them in the face.
Win a date with Lauren Boebert. That's all you got to do.
Oh, good. Anyways, RPGing. That's what we're talking about. You were talking about running your system earlier yesterday, which is the off brand, not the A brand, because A brand is the game that I'm on. The off brand, which would be the beta tester. I'm not saying it's a bad system. I think it works. I think it has its hiccups, but I think you're a whole lot further than you think you are with that system.
Well, that's mainly just system mastery and playing RPGs for years, and the blessing of being able to do multiplication in my head.
There's that.
Because a lot of it, like I'm reading through like third edition and Pathfinder stuff, and that's written for D20. I just multiply shit by 5, and I figure out like how to write things down. Like whenever I figured out how to write down how you can figure out the saving throw of your cleric's saves whenever he does his channel positive energy against undead. When I hit that, like I'm like, oh, that yeah, that's easy. But fuck, why did it take me so long to figure it out?
Hmm.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I did that. But like yesterday we were doing stuff, and I've got 4 players in that game. I want to have 6, but I'm running some NPCs because people have to step away from things. And I've seen Flady quite a bit this weekend. Makes me really happy because he's still there. Like he's not abandoning us. He's not evading us. He's trying to get his life sorted. And we always throw him like, dude, we'll give you the link. We'll give you the material you need. Like, let us know whenever you want to play. We'll have a 2-hour session, get your character leveled up in front of you. That way you can have all your information in front. And as much as I would love to have it where I can have that game to where it's on one 5.5 by 8 postcard, it's not going to happen.
Well, Index RPG is a special. It's a special system altogether. I I fucking love Pathfinder. I played Pathfinder with you. I played Pathfinder with multiple other people. Um, and going from Pathfinder, which I always felt like you had 3 sheets, and all 3 of the sheets are just for your skills. So you go into 5th edition where it was just streamlined, extreme. Well, it's streamlined compared to 3.5 and Pathfinder. I think with Index, it takes what's important and dials down on it. I mean, dials down on it, and it takes what's not important, just kind of is like, don't need that. We're going to slim this down. This is going to work faster. It's going to drive better, and everybody's going to be happy with it if that's what the person wants. I think it loses. I think it loses its crunch.
It loses all the crunch.
And I like that crunch. Boy, do I like that crunch.
Um, I like the crunch to remain global.
Gotcha.
And that's why I don't typically go for like the extra hardcover books like the APG, the Ultimate Magus, Combat. I stick away from that just for the fact that the majority of time when I'm doing a quick and dirty and I just need a monster, I pick up a monster and it was written with the core rule book and the bestiary in mind, and that's it. Hey, per. And I want like I kind of want like an even playing field for monsters and players. So like if there's a magus bad guy in the campaign that's like a CR 14 or 13th or 14th level challenge, I want the players to be able to choose magus as well. But if they're not in the campaign, magus is off the books. You can make a wizard like a magus up to a point, but you're not a magus. And I think with my system, what I'm doing as time goes on and on and on, we've been running that campaign we've done 26 adventures so far, 26 or 28. We're close to that. And I'm getting to the point in the design documents as I'm figuring out how like a wizard would evolve from like a regular apprentice kid to a magus and make it to where it would be an organic thing. Whereas like when you select magus class in Pathfinder at first or at any level, like a lot of the classes don't feel organic. They just feel like here's a pile of shit skills and special abilities that have no purpose in your specially tailored world, but we're going to force them in there. And they have no business being there. I like this system a lot better because it just feels more organic.
That's
Go ahead.
That's fair. I don't normally play spellcasters. No one wants me to play spellcasters because
Why?
I'm not that guy.
Why?
I don't like.
Why don't you play spellcasters?
I don't like the paperwork. Wizards, for example. No, let's go with sorcerers. Sorcerers, I can make a small list on a piece of paper, and because I'm a sorcerer, I just for the powers of the universe decide that I get to know these spells. Wizards are you should have to go study. You should lock yourself up in a territory to play with the magic for decades. There's no such thing as young wizards. They're all old wizards because young wizards are the apprentice, right?
Yeah.
Old wizards are these like barely 70-year-old guys that hasn't seen the sunlight in fucking 69 however many years, right? But campaigns and that might but that doesn't how it transfers over to RPG because nobody wants to play a crotchety 70-year-old guy. Well, maybe some people do, but for majority, no.
Hold on. I would completely play that guy that's in your Peoria game. Ain't got no hope. Ain't got no chance. I would play him. Yeah. I would play him as a 4th level wizard. Okay. And we're leveling him up from there. But that guy, like, if there's any guy that I've ever sat at a table with, like, he's my wizard. I want him to play a wizard so bad.
I've yet to see him play a wizard, but yeah, I definitely get where there's just arguments I have with the wizard class, and it's not just with Pathfinder, it's not with just D&D. Well, it's basically with those two, where you cast a spell and it's burnt out of your memory. You have to re-memorize it. And I was talking on that show with Max. It's like, no. You just forget the last word. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You've been poring over the spell for the last 50 fucking years. Do you not think that you know every last word in it? Or do you automatically just become fucking Bruce Campbell and fuck up when it matters? It just, maybe I'm just being a little bit more eccentric than I should, but it just bugs the fuck out of me.
And that's why I went to a spell point class system for both wizards and clerics, because the spell casting is kind of excited that you're doing this shit for like 7 to 20 seconds where you're casting a spell. Maybe you've got feats to augment the spell as well, and you're making it more powerful, more oomphy. And when you release it, like, you get your spell out, and there should be like a post nut clarity after you cast your spell where you can hear a little better, you can see a little better for the next like 6 seconds. And that's why wizards or clerics enjoy so much to just burn through their spells, because they're having all this energy go through their system and focus and manifest in some magical event, and they release it. I could see where, like, as I'm telling people this about their body as they cast spells, like when you finish casting a spell, you feel kind of relieved. You feel like you've gotten something off your chest, or maybe a knot you've just had just popped, and you can roll your shoulder a little easier, something like that. And I just see the spellcasters being a little not more physical than like a fighter, but they definitely get their jollies off. They would have a expulsion of energy, and I think that would be something that would be in in the narrative. Maybe not in the system itself, unless you're like, well, I'm going to take a feat so I can like get a +2 to my perception for next 2 rounds after I cast a spell. Okay, cool. I could see that. But you're like a 5th level wizard. You're able to cast a lot of spells at once. You really enjoy casting all your spells within like a half minute. Then you're done.
As I said last night on your show, that when it comes to that combat situation, I get the fighter should be able to understand. I get that the fighter, the barbarian, the paladin, and let's say the ranger. There's a few classes that get that that concept that your whole body is into the fight. It's not just a physical thing. It's also a mental thing. It's also a spiritual thing. If you're in a fight,
Yeah.
you're in a fight. Wizards, I don't think understand that.
No. But I think they would be the ones, like the fighters and rogues and rangers that commonly practice the martial arts and the martial athletic abilities, like what Purse says here. I think with downing a foe, or with like getting a really good cast off, I would think that would be like, there needs to be at least a narrative thing thrown in there at the players whenever they cast a spell, or whenever they like fire a bow that drops an enemy, like a good lung shot or one shot. Like there needs to be something the GM has to say, like, for as macabre as what this is, you feel very, very happy that your practice is pulling off and making results like this. Also, by the way, if he would have gotten up to the group, he would have killed like 4 or 5 of your friends.
Oh yeah. Oh god. I think that's also the reason why I like the Dresden Files, the way he handles magic in that world. It's not a you can read, especially in Fool's Moon with the Berserkers, when he takes the potion that was basically steroids for magic, and he could feel the static of electricity behind his eyes, and finally, when he fucking blew his verbial load magically, he was just spent. I mean, spent.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, that happens again. What was the one where he joined the Wild Hunt?
well, he doesn't. Uh, that was after changes. That's in the later one of the
Right
books.
before Changes, actually, I think.
Was it right before changes?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, no, you're right. It's the one right after Changes, where he wakes up and the tree roots are plugged into him, and the photosynthesis is keeping him alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like the other day we were talking about also druids. How most Pathfinder and D&D, most situations, they would have you, if you want to be a druid, you have to pray to a god or a goddess. I'm like, why? Why can't the why can't the the planet that you're living on produce its own natural force that you're just tapped into? It's not I'm not saying the person has to be an atheist or anything of that nature, but it's not a divine thing. It's a nature thing. I mean, look at the druids are supposed to be attached to animals in nature. Well, most fantasies, and I believe, and even in the really real world, Animals are more in tune to nature than humans are. So have it where the planet Zala or whatever the hell you want to call it has people that are just naturally species, races, one out X amount of them is just naturally in tune to the biowaves of that planet.
Could see that.
So you can take the deity aspect up. There's nothing wrong with deities, if you want to play it. I just don't think. I think druid should be handled a little bit different when it comes to that. I mean, go back to the DC Swamp thing. He's powered by the green, which is not the color, but a force like the Speed Force was Flash. It's the green.
Yeah.
It's not a deity. It's its own primal force. Maybe I should start making my own damn. No, we don't want that. Maybe maybe I should do what Victor does and just like write down my ideas. And okay, you could play it this way, or you could do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could be
like the Dutchman. I really like the Dutchman.
Yeah. Victor's awesome, man.
I treat the druids with my sister. I haven't really even gone with a druid treatment yet. I haven't focused on that. I'm working on bard and cleric right now.
Clerics are fun. I think there's a big difference between a cleric and a priest and a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
They can all worship the same deity per se, but they are different pecking orders on what that power train looks like. You got your martial side, which is your cleric. Martial side, which is your paladin. Okay. You have your cleric that basically goes around. Have you heard the good news today? Then you have your guy who sits in a temple all day, healing, blessing, whatever. I don't know how I'd break down different spells for those three, but I think there should be enough of a divide where a cleric who picks up a sword is not more or less a paladin. So, rogue's fun. You can do a lot of things with rogue. You have a party of rogues, and not one of them are exactly the same fucking type.
I love rogues.
You got your like stickman. You got your cat burglar. You got your assassin. If you want to attach rogue and assassin to the same thing. I don't know.
I can't complain. I like the idea of rogues just being completely more diverse than like the fighter field.
Right.
Between priests and clerics, we've always looked at it to where whenever we're fucking with priests, you're dealing with like cloistered individuals. They don't really have a lot of martial training. They don't have a lot of armor training. They have a really good ability to cast spells, but they do more for their flock than a cleric would. A cleric is kind of like the face man out of the church. You'll see tons of clerics that go out and they deliver their word of their deity or they deliver the message. Sometimes that can get violent, which is why a lot of them, wear the armor, wear the weapons. But priest, no, that it's been kind of around for a while. It was in second edition AD&D. Faiths and Avatars is the book it was in.
Yeah. Then I'm going to click on this one. The druids, I agree to disagree. Practicing druidism, one might worship nature itself, or and that's fine. To each their own. I like to read personally. I like to read when I get a chance. Philosophy. I love studying philosophy, and what it irritated me with some philosophers, especially the French philosopher, was if they can't figure out the answer, God was the answer. It's lazy. So if you're, and I'm talking about fantasy, I'm not talking about people and their really real life and their Wicca, their Druidism, or anything of that nature. Not poking, not prodding, not going anywhere near that. I'm just talking in a fantasy setting, making druids just be their own thing. Because, hypothetically, let's say you're a sand druid. I don't know what sand druid looks like, but sure, it could be a thing, right? Like a forest, jungle, water druid. I don't know if that's a thing, but it could be a thing. A sand druid, just all the environments out there. And to ask them to all say that their source comes from one deity, I just have kind of a rub with that. I do too know how to read.
I think the majority of the game that I'm running my alpha test, I'm not going to really split the divines, the priesthood, the clerics and druids aren't going to split much. The clerics focus on their turning, on their channeling positive energy, on their spell casting, and druids are going to have their options be more for like summoning monsters and for their companion, to have their companion be a thing.
For druids?
Yeah. Because it for the longest time, man, like if you had a druid in the play, like there was a druid companion in every fucking party.
No, I know. It's always like and some of the choices are just interesting, and also really depends on what part of the game you're at, level wise, what your companion look like. It'd be a bird, monkey, wolf, dog, cat, whatever. I think if Chris had his way, every time he polymorphed something, it'd be his new druid companion. He would just have a row of fucking fire breathing goats behind him. I've also I get in trouble with this one. A6. I hate that you have to be evil to be assassin. I don't think you should be good, but $20 is $20.
Okay, it's the selfishness that you're having trouble with.
It's not selfish.
It's the admission that I'm selfish.
No.
I'm selfish. Listen, if you want that guy dead, pay me. I do it.
There's a guy. There's this guy in the next kingdom. It's causing all kinds of crap for him. I can't exactly pin it on him, right? But I know it's him. Well, I can't send the paladin because the faith is not going to go along with me. I could hire some fighters, but that's just going to be a bunch of people dying in the end. Or you could find the fix-it men per se, and you give that guy some gold, and the world works on gold. Let's just be fair. The world works on gold.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes over there, takes care of a problem. Your kingdoms are no longer at odds, and life is good. And all it cost you was 20 gold. So I'm not saying that they should be good. I don't think good is out of the option. You cannot be good. But you could be neutral. You don't have to be evil. And we all, it's like the wood chipper argument you had the other night.
There's no argument. It's just wood chipper.
Yeah. Make wood chippers great again.
Everybody needs Chippy. Either you need to own Chippy, or if you fuck with kids, you need to see Chippy.
Yes, I agree.
And Chippy, I could see Chippy turning into like this little cartoon animagram on your screen, like the old clip art paper clip from Microsoft Works. Looks like you've got a problem with a pedophile there. Shall I fire it up in the backyard, sir?
Per wants to know how you guys handle monks in your campaign.
Well, with the campaign that I've got, the alpha test, they would be more of a derivative off the divines because they would be going for the wholeness of body and more of the spiritual aspects. Unless they were going for like a brawler type monk, then they would start off as a martial. But after they go through their, as they would be going through their leveling up, as they would be putting themselves together, literally, um, well, they would want to be at a cloister to have those options made available to them. And then they would want to uh, start developing, like, my system is not a typical game. It is a game that literally you start off as like kids, and you're supposed to spend about 4 sessions together as teenagers, and you're not real fighters or monks or anybody else. You're supposed to be like, I'm a warrior, or I'm an adept, or I'm an expert. You're not a real class. You're one of the NPC classes, and you play through that as a young adult or as an older teenager, and then the adventure stops, and the players have the option from the GM. You can either continue this life of this where you just go out and you just job, you just do these jobs, you don't have a whole lot of benefits, you don't have a whole lot of perks, and you don't really develop well. You can do this. You can even find a way to survive and get comfortable doing this over time. You'll be in your mid 30s and you'll figure it out, but it will take you to your mid 30s. And we can continue playing like this. It'll be, another season before another adventure pops up, but you can do this. You can go home, you made your 200 gold. You can go and you can spend some time with family, and you're the local kid done good. Or after this adventure, you go out, you find a union representative. And what you do is you find a teaching facility for the type of person that you want to be. So either, okay, you know how to be a pickpocket, you should probably need to join a guild. Or, oh, you want to be a fighter, you need to go join a professional fighters academy or the union of coasters and traders, because they do all the mercantile trade and they have their own specific training for wizards, priests, fighters, rogues on the go, bards on the go. And you do that. So my game is split between the apprenticeship levels and the journeyman levels. And so that's why when I'm writing this, I'm having a hard time because a lot of the things between the apprentice and the journeyman side, they're both very similar. And I write like, okay, we're going to 36 level. And then like I forget shit. I need to write an apprentice book if in case the DM doesn't give them an opportunity to become a guildsman at a certain point. They're just kind of scabbing through life. Bards, they're not even real bards. They're buskers. Okay. So monks, they're not NPCs in my game. They're actual, that's an actual class. But you have to organically go towards that. It's just how that works. Hey,
I
Shadow
don't
and
want
Sun, how
to
you
be.
doing? Go
I don't
ahead.
want. I don't want to be the Asian monk. I want to be the West European monk. That's really a cleric, but it's a monk with you know, because they're called monks or a friar. I want to be a friar. You know why? Because I can get laid.
I like that's something I need to differentiate, because to me the monks you talk about are more like priests because they're more cloistered, they're more garrison style,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of things they do within their community. They're focused. They're really good at it. But don't get in their way, because they know how to use a mace. They know how to use a cudgel. They know how to use a sickle, because these are items they have to use day to day to day. Yeah. And Per says here, what I'm saying, it reminds me of the first edition AD&D Unearthed Arcana, the Cavalier. They have pre-first level experience as a class. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I took a little inspiration from that, but I evolved on that as well, because I want to have the apprentice time to be substantial. Like the average game nowadays, the average campaign, not for us, but for like the mainstream tourists that are there playing 5th edition, thinking they're playing D&D, is 6 sessions. Like that should be like the apprentice time for your character in a game that I would have written for your table. Because you should have 6 sessions of 6 to 10 hours where you guys are adventuring and doing stuff, where like you're getting your oats, you're doing things to help your community. Maybe you're just guarding the farmer's daughter and she knows how to cast magic missile and sleep. But it's just an idea I have.
I get it. I can see where you're going.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've got the raw talent to do something, but the mentorship they would get would be the chef's kiss. It would actually get them more hit points. It would get them, or potentially more hit points. It would get them better skill selection, better feat selection, etc. Shadow and Sun says, I hate the idea of Asian or Western monks. They aren't from Earth. Remember John Amos's character from Beastmaster. He was Eastern or Asian or European. He was still a monk, though. Yeah, I get that. I don't know if I want to have. I like priests, and I like the idea of like actual men who hone their bodies into a calcified lump of deadly meat, and they are able to make themselves into weapons. I like that a lot. I just like when I think of that too long, I can actually feel my joints going, oh God, no more concrete, no more wood. No, let's not do this.
The days of oh, trust me, I get that. I used to box, and somebody mention the term road workers, which is basically running to me. I'm like, nope, I'm good. And please don't hit me in the face. I don't bounce back the way I used to.
Yeah. Yeah, what happened? Oh, you turned 50 on Friday. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, thanks. Of course I remember that. It was Friday.
But I'm then going with the way you're doing it, and I'm not bashing it. Just the thought processing I'm having is okay. You want to play a wizard? Yeah. Well, you're not playing a wizard. Then what am I playing? You're playing the hireling for the next like 4 levels. But what? I want to be a wizard. Yeah, I get that, and I want you to be a wizard, but you're not going to be a wizard. You can cast some spells, sure. Why not? You can cast minor spells, but you're not a wizard. But why? Because you need to study. You need to understand the art, and that's going to take a while. That's going to take longer. Tell you what, if you're still with me with gaming with me in about 5 years from now, I'll let you be a first level wizard. What? What am I doing in between? Well, you're working with the wizard. There will be a wizard in party, but you're not going to be him. I mean, that's kind of where you're going with that, isn't it, though, Bruce?
It is. It really is. It's like the first few levels of you being an adept are really nothing special. It's you learning how to do logistics and how to do the paperwork to order spell components so they arrive at your door, so you are on time to grab them and then go out and adventure. And it's also the ability for you to learn how to forage for when you're in the wild, how do you can get spell components, because sometimes you use your spell components and you need more.
I need a leaf. I need some bat guano. I need some the other thing. I roll it really up together in a ball and I throw it, and it
And
becomes fireball.
that's something
Baseball switch.
because like you weren't with the party, but like nobody was really paying attention the other day, and so I didn't go into super detail. But where they were at in Dunamon, there's a pair of waterfalls that kind of isolate this island city from the everything else around it, because the city's located on the island between this mountain lake, and there's two waterfalls, and so everything's covered in mist. And then there's the bats. There's an extensive cave system underneath the city, but like for wizards, when the players are going around and they see like there's a wizard lives here, like there's a bat. What do they call it? A bat. What a bat house.
Bat
There's
cave.
there's like
A
there's a
cave of
habitat.
bats.
Yeah, where they've got like enough room for like 200 bats to live there, and the wizard goes in there occasionally and he farms a guano,
Oh
or he
yeah.
sends his apprentice to go in there and farm guano. So you have things like that. Yes, yes. The apprentice moments are so important in my game. Like the crafting gamers character is roughly 26 or so, 24, 26, and he's just now turning into a wizard. They're only sixth level. We've played like 26 sessions. Sixth level. He hasn't even finished leveling up.
So almost a year.
Over a year we've been playing.
Well, you said 26 divided
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
yeah.
but there's been a couple sessions I had to skip because work was getting in my way.
That's fine.
And
I get that. So I mean, okay. So like I said, in 5 years you'll get to be a first level fighter, first level wizard after you scrape the walls of Manga Manga, Bing Bong, Bat Cave, and Tijuana, and get your guano, and you take a couple alchemy classes and whatnot. Sorcerers. I imagine sorcerers is like a puppy who just found out he has a pecker.
see, I don't know how to implement sorcerers in a game that I have set up yet because I don't like you could do it, but they're like the wizards have a selection of a what can fit in 100 pages of spell book because they can analyze that and they can look at that every morning for an hour, and every spell that's in that spell book within 100 pages they got it, they figured it out, so they have that entire book to go through. And if they do that, they are able to like figure out like things from their first level spells, which are basically shitty little cantrips, to fourth level spells, which is your wizard, your lightning bolt, your fireballs, all of that. And I don't suggest you burn out like all your fireball spells at once. Um,
Fuck.
for
Oh.
a fourth level spell almost takes all the mana points that you earn off just one level.
Wow.
So that's like 16 mana points right there.
I hope there's a Burger King in your travels because you're going to have to eat up to build up those points. Because Burger
Well,
King is the only place you can get mana points. If you don't get the reference, go read a Jim Butcher book.
I get it.
Not you, just the 6 people that are actually paying attention to our nonsense.
I really don't ask Shadow about Jim Butcher, by the way. He does not like it. I really enjoy that system though because it makes the wizards prioritize how they're going to cast their spells because they have to Tetris their spells into the book and like try to figure out like how am I going to put this in here. I only have 100 pages. Like a fifth level spell might take only 5 pages. It might take 7. Ugh, you know. And like one of the things that you get like every 3 or 5 or however many levels you get these edges, and one of them is like I can afford to bind my own books, and I can make them like 150 pages, so I actually can have more storage for my spells, and I have a wider array of spells to get. Otherwise, I'm just stuck between either I'm going through this spell book today or I'm going through this spell book today.
You know how I would treat sorcerers if I hypothetically this is how I treat sorcerers. Uh not like a mutation like you do with of a comic books, but as just a weird extra muscle that not everybody gets,
Hmm.
and you have to keep working on that muscle. And as you work on it, the muscle gets stronger and develops into your list gets a little bit wider and wider. Now, if you overdo it, you'll burn out that muscle per se. You strain it,
Hmm.
and you won't be able to cast spells for a couple days because you strained it. It's you still have magic, but you don't have the magic you had because you overdid it. Make it more of an organic thing than just, "Ooh, I'm part dragon," or "I'm part fae," or "Cthulhu made love to my second cousin on my mother's uncle's left nipple side." I don't know, whatever, but make it actually an organic aspect.
I don't like the way that sorcerers were brought in to 3.5 and Pathfinder because, from a design standpoint, they're like a less versatile wizard. They're really good at casting one or two spells, but
Yeah.
they're very, very not versatile. And then the narratives to describe them are completely reliant on, as an edgy boy, your mommy was a whore and she fucked something that nobody else wanted to. And so now you get to be the token victim of this campaign. Instead of the half elf being like the guy that he's kind of torn between two worlds, as it should be, it's you, because you're choosing to be a sorcerer. You can't choose to be a half elf. You're a half elf,
Can't
but
choose to be
you're
a half druid,
choosing.
a drow either.
There are no player character drow.
No, I know. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I get it. I just want to make sure people understand there are no drow in my campaign world. They all died.
Then go back to
But
my thought processing of making it a muscle, a mutation,
yeah,
where you can be any race could be born with a extra muscle that's in your brain, and if and you're yeah treat it. Maybe they only get 4 or 5 spells, but they have to come up with those 4 or 5 spells look like. Make them specialize. Well, I want to do fire. Well, you only get fire spells. Well, I only want to do, water. Well, you get water spells, so forth and so on. I mean, just dial it the fuck down and just, like I said, make it a muscle, not a racial thing, not a weird, my mom slept with a dragon thing, but a random muscle that appears that some people are just born with. I would like to put this on a shirt. Wizards with hockey sticks are not to be fucked around with. But we've been doing this for 33 minutes. I'm tired. Bruce is tired. It you all should be tired, you bunch of slackers. Go to bed. All right.
good seeing you guys. I'm almost done with the third dragon head, so
That's what I said about a couple cousins of not of mine that I was dating.
got to get the bones done and then work on the eyes.
Oh, look at you, Bo. You're extra special. You get to listen to
Later,
me
Shadow.
and work? Wow. Love you, brother.
Love
Anyway,
you, bud.
Shadow, you take it easy. Kick Jack in the ass for me. Anyways, I'm reading chat. Thank you all for showing up. Well, Bruce and me really just need to do this more often, or find a
Yeah,
way to do this more often. We'll talk about a little bit about politics. If we had nothing to talk about, we'll talk about food, which is always fun. He's Italian and I like to cook, so we can figure out something.
it'll happen.
Gotcha. Anyways, good night. I'll see you guys probably later on this week on that guy's channel this coming Saturday, where I try not to die. I'm having a really good
Good luck.
track record. I'm having a really good track record.
Um, The Hobbs are not going to be easy.
That's fine.
Have a good night, everybody. God bless y'all.
Oh yeah, and since this is my show, fuck you, Condor, you walking piece of Canadian trash.